In 1849, men did not head west for land, comfort, or a better climate. They chased a rumor strong enough to erase a life. They chased gold, and gold fever made that rumor feel like destiny. The spark had come a year earlier, on the 24th of January 1848, at Sutter's mill. A few flecks in a river, a private discovery. But the moment the news escaped into newspapers, letters, handbills, and campfire talk, it stopped being a discovery and became a national obsession. One historian called it America's first great media event, and that feels right. The country did not simply hear about gold. It caught it like a contagion. By 1849, ordinary men were looking at their farms, their shops, their families, and their futures, and asking a dangerous question. What if this is my one chance? Reason said, stay. Fear said, go. Hope shouted over both. And so they went. Roughly 40,000 came by sea. Another 30,000 crossed overland. Thousands more pushed north from Mexico. They were clerks, farmers, mechanics, sons, husbands, boys barely grown, and men already worn down by work. They left behind the slow certainty of labor for the fast violence of chance. That was the bargain. Leave everything, risk everything, for the smallest chance of sudden wealth. The journey itself was the first punishment. The trail east of California was not a road so much as an endurance test written across a continent. Wagon trains rolled through crowded jumping-off towns where cholera already waited in the water and in the mud. The disease moved with the migrants, then followed them west, taking the weak, the unlucky, and the exhausted. Many were buried in unmarked graves beside the trail, their names swallowed by dust before they ever reached the mountains. Some estimates say about 5,000 of the 30,000 overlanders in 1849 died before they even saw the diggings. That number is not just a statistic, it is a measure of how violent hope can become when it outruns caution. Then came the Sierra Nevada, cold, steep, unforgiving. The mountains did not care what a man had read in a newspaper or what he had promised his wife. They cared only whether he could keep moving. Oxen died, wagons broke, boots split open. Men pressed on with bleeding feet and empty bellies, driven by the belief that gold was still waiting on the other side. Some never made it on the main trail at all. The lost 49ers took a shortcut into the desert and found something far worse than delay. They found isolation, thirst, and the kind of silence that strips a man down to instinct. Years later, one of them was said to have looked back at the wasteland and spoken the words that still cling to the map. Goodbye, Death Valley. It was not a slogan, it was a surrender. When the survivors finally reached California, the dream did not become easier. It became expensive. In the mining camp, survival itself had a price tag. An egg could cost $1. Tea could run $5 a pound. A second-hand shovel might cost $8. Every simple need turned into ransom. The men who had come to get rich were now paying outrageous sums just to stay alive long enough to dig. And yet, they dug. They stood in freezing water with numb hands, panning gravel and mud for the smallest flash of yellow. They built makeshift camps along rivers and gullies, then abandoned them when the claim dried up. They moved constantly, always chasing the next patch of earth, always convinced the next pan might change everything. A few struck it rich, most did not. That was the hard truth buried beneath the legend. Still, the gold kept flowing. Around $10 million in 1849, then $41 million in 1850, $75 million in 1851, and more than $80 million in 1852. California was producing staggering wealth. But wealth is not the same thing as justice. The gold came fast, but it did not come evenly. For every man who found a pocket of fortune, dozens found only hunger, debt, and broken pride. In a place where government lagged behind migration, people made their own rules. Miners' meetings and makeshift courts decided who owned a claim, who had broken the code, and who had to move on. Order was improvised, and improvised order always carries the shadow of force. In the camps, a man's reputation could be worth more than his tools. In the boomtowns, a gun often spoke louder than a law book. Gold Rush California was also a world of extremes in another way. It was overwhelmingly male. Women were scarce. Nearly every street, every camp, every gambling hall and claim was filled with men in their prime, men between youth and age, men ready to gamble their bodies, their savings, and their sanity on one more month of luck. In that pressure cooker, violence came naturally. So did despair. And then there was San Francisco. The city became the funnel through which the whole rush passed, and it could barely hold itself together. Ships entered the harbor, packed with men who abandoned them the moment land appeared. Crews deserted, captains were left staring at empty decks. In 1 year alone, more than 62,000 people were said to have arrived by ship, and the waterfront filled with stranded vessels and broken promises. Some of those old ships did not disappear. They became part of the city itself, buried beneath, fill as the shoreline was pushed outward and civilization was built over wreckage. That is what the gold rush did. It did not merely populate California, it remade it, layer by layer, on top of abandonment. San Francisco also burned, again and again. The city was so raw, so unstable, that fire could erase entire blocks in a night. In one devastating blaze, as much as 3/4 of the city was destroyed, around 2,000 buildings gone. In a place built on speed and speculation, destruction came just as fast as growth. When law failed, citizens stepped in. Vigilance committees formed, judged, and punished. Some saw that as necessary, others saw it as mob rule. Both were true. That is what happens when a boomtown outruns its institutions. Order arrives late, and often with blood on its hands. The cost of the rush reached far beyond the miners themselves. California's indigenous population collapsed under the weight of disease, starvation, displacement, and outright violence. What had once been a living landscape of communities became a battleground for land, water, and survival. Even the state's politics changed with the gold. Taxes targeted foreign miners, rules hardened, exclusion became policy. The rush that promised opportunity also revealed how quickly opportunity could be rationed, fenced off, and weaponized. And yet the gold rush did not end with disappointment alone. It left behind a deeper American story. Some men made fortunes not by digging, but by supplying the men who dug. Sam Brannan understood that truth early, and he profited from it. In a gold rush, sometimes the shovel matters more than the strike. The same hard lesson helped shape the modern country. Levi Strauss arrived after the frenzy had begun to settle, and his rugged work pants would one day become a symbol of American labor itself. The trail, the camp, The mine, the city, the factory floor, it all connects. That is the real inheritance of 1849. Not just gold, not just California, but a new national myth forged in dust, risk, and hunger. The gold rush taught Americans to believe that fortune could be seized in a single leap, and it also exposed the brutal price of that belief. That is why the story still matters. It was never only about wealth. It was about what men are willing to lose when they think the future is buried in the ground. In the end, gold fever was not romance. It was a gamble, a brutal one. And for most who answered it, the reward was not riches, but the hard knowledge that the American dream can shine like a miracle and cut like a knife. Subscribe for more true frontier history.